はい、お願いします。Okay. We've been starting out a little bit, just with tenchi. Okay. This motion, that motion. All right. If you have like the kokyu motion, the upper and the lower one, you have it has the movement. So, connection to start out. Okay. Couple of things. Let's say the knee comes in. No one's going to just grab your wrist. Okay, but maybe knees coming in, or the action movies, the headbutt. Okay, so it's one of the things you want to be able to get off the arm. Now I go this way, he turns in and attacks anyway. So it's very important. If he's going to turn in, all right, we have that motion. Okay, form and function. Okay. Okay. Move or headbutt in the action movies. I wouldn't want to do that. So right here, I'm going to change position to my forward foot. So he has to adapt. Okay, good. Now, if I go like this, he comes in anyway. Okay, so it's very important right here. So we have that one. Form and function. Okay? So let's just warm up with just that opening tenchi, nage movement with a partner. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So, the thing is, okay, let's just say he stands, I got my left forward, he puts his left forward. Okay, all right? It's too easy. In other words, you got your right, okay? You got your left, I got my left. Okay, now this is too easy, isn't it?
Right.
Okay, so we're practicing for a more complex situation. So it's mirror. But in a lot of ways, for example, he's not going to do that. He's just not going to stand on me at all, right? When he comes in to do that, and boom. You see, so some of this is learning, just martial concepts. So he's coming in a more complex situation. So right here, for example, we try to move, and that sets him up for an attack knee or hit. Let's just say, okay, all right. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to try to move here. I'm going to change. This frees it up. Right. Now I go like this. He turns in again. So it's very important. See, there's a rotation here. Then we get the step in. Okay. So it seems contrived. Okay, in other words, it's a way. But there are many other possibilities. Like you could stand not mirror, but you could be matching to me. Most sites, it's either I hung or Jackie hung. So it was right here where we're called the reverse harmony, or he's the same harmony. Okay? All right? Well, but there's a reason for it, or we say nage. Because if it just comes in non-harmony, right? Yeah. Not that I'm going to do that, but you have to be aware that he's going to do it if you don't do it. Right? So right about here. In motion, a lot of times, it's more blurred. You see, more blurred in motion, but that's starting point. Okay. Okay, we're discussing maybe a little bit of a very, very, a neutral starting place, okay? And, this is mirror harmony, okay? Now, the spacing here, this is why, for example, you're here. Well, if I'm not in a harmony here, there's that, or there's, but he just pushes, knocks me to the ground, and then, okay. So even if I'm that way, and he pushes or something like that, I can take a step back, and I'm going to harm me. Now here I am, when you see where you are, this is matching harmony. Why don't we do this so much? Because it's too easy. You see what I mean? It's very easy. That motion is extremely easy when you're matching right to right, left to left. So it's more complex. So here, boom, we're starting in what we call the mirror or the reverse. Now, for him to come in that way, one, high or low, or push, I can cover my balance by standing triangularly, not like this. But you're not always going to be standing this way. Hi, how are you? Let's have coffee. It's kind of crazy. But, for example, he pushes or something, I can recover that, and if he's coming in this direction, you move off the line without this motion. Does that make any sense? Well, motion, all that is a little blurry. So I'm just going back to basics for the right to right versus the left to right, right to left. Okay? So let's start out, boom, okay, good. Now, if I'm just trapped here, then he comes in high or low, or he pushes to knock me off balance. Most attacks are not really sophisticated. Because, why would he grab my hand? Because he's going to go for the body. But I got this out here. Okay. So let's go back just for another moment on that and work just the basic changes in the extremely basic place. Pardon me? Okay, off the line. And very important right here. I do a lot of good work and I go like this, and then he turns and he ducks and he comes in again. So it's very important. You've got a position here now. Turn in. Okay, see how I'm also rotating here. Okay, huh? Okay, now what I want, okay. If you look at him, you don't turn enough. No, you don't look away from him. Okay. You see him wide angle in. That's better. Now get off the line the first part. But you see wide angle in. There may be other people around. Okay? Now what I want you to do a little bit. When you make the side move, be solid. Right. Okay. Now I'm going to turn and I did a different angle. You see what I mean? If you stay here, please it up. Now I rotate much forward, both directions. Okay? Now rotate, now good. Adding that little extra. Because we get away with a lot. Like that, okay? But then your hands are pulled and you can't move and he's gonna come in real quick with something. Okay, so off the line. He has to turn to make that attack. Okay? But I'm getting off the line not like this, I'm getting off the line like this. Right angle in, not. See, when I'm looking at him, I can't turn. Right angle in. I'm seeing the situation, I'm seeing the other people, I'm checking the terrain out. Okay? Good. Okay, now get off the line a little bit on the first thing, okay? If it's really solid, I can't move. If get off the line, it's free to movement. Yeah. No, if it's not, then I can kind of go like that, okay? But even that motion, you should probably a little bit of off the line to do that. But one of the things, okay, when I'm, this is already down here now, I look at him again, he comes in with something else like a headbutt or knee, right? So it's very important right here. Yeah. You're conscious of him, but you're not staring at him. Okay? Okay? See, I can't charge you, but I can split the defender, right and left arms here. Okay, now I'm looking more at the side, but my wide angle lens is picking you up, it's picking you out, it's picking up the engine. Well, I'm going to rotate again. Those changes are important. In motion, it's like this. But we're saying right here, basic. Okay, now I'm doing. So stand a little further back. This is so stand in behind me. Good. Okay. Well, you can come in off of that, but you know, if somebody's going to charge us in your hands, then they come with a knee, but then they come with a headbutt. You know, that's my action will be stuff for boom. So we're, you know, good. Now here, yeah. Okay. That makes sense right there. To go. Okay, you still got to turn more. You don't have to. You get away with it because you're tall. But if Jonathan Kuminga grabs you, you're gonna go like that to somebody who's like 6'8" and 220 and a super athlete. Frees your arms up, doesn't it? Now that's better. Now rotate the other way. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. 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 Let's just say, you know, the tenchi nage is kind of nice because, you know, there's this motion, you know, and there's this motion. All right, she really works in both. And both this and this have to work together. They have to work together through you. So there's what we call simple, you know, body changes. And up here in my shoulders, I have tunnel vision. I can't even move if somebody is really locked on. So relax. Okay. In sports, yeah, I'm getting double teams left and right. Okay. So I split the defender. You see how that works a bit? If he's coming with a striking motion, well, that change is very important. Most of the time, see, in motion, a lot of times you don't learn those subtleties. So we're not saying we're not going to move. There's movement in what we're doing. But one of the first things that, you know, Kojima Sensei He visited this area in 1974 and thank Duran since they asked him, what are you looking for when you look at a technique? And, you know, he said the first thing is to nage, the first thing to speak, which is have a sense of the harmony. Okay? And then, you know, you basically have to go over it. One of the other things is the speed of the technique. Are we practicing a more basic situation? Or are we practicing much more of a flow, quicker situation? Okay? And the other thing he mentioned is what we call the malai, which is the spacing. So here, for example, in this basic situation, you got no spacing. That's your malai. You're working with a situation, somebody's already pretty close. But they haven't done anything yet. They haven't tried to knock you off balance. They haven't headbutted you and leave you. Okay? So right about here, right here on fair game. For the head or lower wheel. All right, so it's very important. Left and right, but I'm watching here. If I rotate, get off the line, it frees this up, doesn't it? And it frees the lower one up, doesn't it? Now here, he just adjusts his balance. If he comes in again, head or lower. Okay, all right? So it's very important. He's done a good job here, and then I linearize again. It's a direct movement, but you see how the body changes, the tight, the body, the alterations in posture. Harmony requires a strategy. If you're dumb, there are a lot of things this works. Wow, I got the technique, right? Then right about here, I go, I had the technique. And then here, I panic, I get up here, I walk it. That first motion gets me off the line. All I'm doing is that motion. But once I'm here, the hands usually free up. Now, for example, I go here, he starts to charge me right here. I'm good. I use that motion, but the hands free up. You see what I mean? So my first movement wants to be make a change. If he's running at me, I'm going to move off the line and go this way. Why? Because he's running at me. I'm not off the line. He comes in either high or low. Okay. Now, if he's running at me, then I go this way. I do the same thing. In fact, he's coming with more potential energy, which he gets back. But we're examining things from what I would say is the model I was facing is no space. You understand? You're right there. Okay, so we're pretty in the worst position, almost. The worst position is right there and somebody continues the attack. Okay? But that's what we're examining. Like, if I rotate the hips a little bit, well, I don't quite do it enough. You have to just sort of play around and realize, no, rotate the other way. Okay? And getting those changes right in that stupid no space, no space. You're already in your space. Okay? It's actually quite important. All right? So I want you to go back one more time, just in this opening tenchi nage. Okay? Well, same partner. See the angle here?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna inside. If you stand flat-footed, but you're probably gonna do something like butt knee or whatever.
Right.
I mean, you're being overly, but you're also open with. This creates spacing. It's a spiral. It's a spiral, and this is a counter spiral. All right. You change from this spiral to the other spiral, isn't it? Yeah. There's this spiral right here. And the other one is this spiral. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now, yeah. Because you have, this is somewhat education for you. This is no space. They're already on you, but they haven't made their other move. Headbutt, knee, or just try to knock me down and move or pull me into that. You see what I mean? In the execution, movement is very quick, but just there are gradations of how you're laying, your education. Okay, you see, right? Just that simple move looks really easy, and it is. But if I'm kind of like this, okay. There's so many different moves that come off of heaven and earth. Okay. I mean, I don't know that I never read that he said this, and Mary Henderson said, well, since they said, I think it was all heaven and earth. It's all tenchi nage. If you're coming in this direction, then the feel comes out of that. If you're coming in this way, the same chain, the nage comes out of it. A little fancier, but you're coming in this direction. What did I see comes out of that? Or whatever gradation you have. After you say the same direction. Okay? So looking at this is this. This versus this. But the body, the level of you is standing there when you make that change. So go. Better? That's better. See how much, see how it smooths out? Better level of you. This level of you versus this level of you is, Bobby, beginnings of Robert, feelings in the day, Sensei Pantheon. Okay? All right? Okay, so one thing I kind of want you to look at, okay? You got this and you got the other one, but you're going into him, don't. Because when you do that, okay, now mirror, yeah. Okay. Now you can't be throwing an attack for that. You see what I mean? But if you stand the other way, reverse your feet, that's too easy. You see what I mean? I don't have to do anything if I know tenchi nage. So, we're practicing for the situation. I can't just, okay, I gotta move the body to get to this position. But I want you to look at right here. So, see how it's short circuiting? We continue this and, okay. Now, okay, this is this spiral, which transfers, is this spiral, which goes into this spiral. This spiral goes into that spiral. Really, that's what, this spiral and that spiral. All right? And then there's the opposite spiral. Now we go this way, and then we go like that. We hit a wall. Not all the time. You're spiraling this way. You're spiraling this way. A lot of, sensei technique. No, it's like that motion. You look at the movies and there's one like that, but he's working energy. It's not just like magic. It is magical. It is magic. It's not just, I'm going to raise my hand and people are going to fall. No, it's like this. There's two. Right? If you're coming in just like boom, 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 boom. Right? Right? Whatever the movement. Then let's say it takes with two. Then, yeah. We're going to come this way. Then we're going to go this way, right? It's the same thing. I go, but yeah, I'm getting off the line, right? I'm making sure this hand doesn't get trapped. Now I'm going to push it. If I'm going to cross in so I can rotate my hips and set my hand. Okay? Does that make sense? What I'm doing is this spiral to the other spiral. This spiral, this spiral. This spiral, but because of this, there's a hole. You see, I'm not really connecting this and that. This and that. Well, the tenchi, for example, proper steps for now. Okay. Well, now we step this way. Or, well, we do the same thing. Well, the section is kokyu. Apparently, I mean, I never heard him say this or see him since, but Mary Heine said, I see this all tenchi because it's heaven and earth, upper hand, lower hand, right, left body. And so almost anything, you say you go here. Now, how do I finish that motion? Well, I finish it just the way I finish this motion with the same hip, right? And so you're probably not going to pull attention out of the off, but you're practicing a lot of what everything else in Aikido is, the stuff Aikido is made out of. Okay? Okay. So if you come in this way, we look like that, or if you come in this way, go this way, then we go back this way. Comes in like this, and we'll go over here, then come back up, and we got this motion here. Then it's going to come in this direction, so there's that motion here. We got this motion. It's all within these basic changes. Okay. That's a bit more graduate PhD level. So right now we're laying a pretty good foundation for you to, in Aikido, there are no straight lines. Everything, even when it appears to be a straight line, is a spiral curve. Sometimes it looks straight. Right here. But it's a spiral. Okay? So I'm asking you, you're lowering your head and you're going to hit a wall eventually. Maybe not now. Okay? So go. That's better. Yes. Smoother. It looks direct, but there are no straight lines. Everything is a curved spiral wave. Sometimes it looks straight. As we come in this direction, go boom, like that. Boom. Okay. But if you look at it, one thing, so my body is triangulating. The energy goes out in a spiral wave. You see the difference right there? So you have to educate yourself to look at that. And, the other thing is, well, if there's no spiral wave, okay, well, so when you get the two things in balance, you may create a beam that's a wave, a very condensed wave, a laser, right? Which is also fun. Okay, now what happens, for example, if you miss here, boom, I had to laser my way through. But you don't want to do that with a beginner or something. You know, I mean, which is good. You know, and when you start getting laser, they give you right. I mean, Putin wants to invade Ukraine. Why? Much more power. That's a lesson us in Europe. All stupid. People are going to die. No matter who wins, it's just really stupid. But the whole world is stupid right now. So we don't want to be stupid with it. So since it was trying to educate us to pass all that crap. Okay? Okay. Okay. But what I want you to look at a bit is that, you know, it's a spiral and a spiral. See how the spiral is turning this way? And then it, without breaking, it goes the other way. Then if you get this, then you get this, there's a hole. It's not a good situation to be in. The magic didn't work. Okay, you're Donald, no, you're Mickey Mouse and you can move all the, you know, the brushes and, you know, you're cleaning with a real master magician's way. Good, but you don't know the full spell and you can't stop it. So what, you understand this, but you don't understand that. You get results with this thing. But it's really two energies. The heaven and earth, two energies working in partnership. In warriors, you get strength in numbers. You get heaven and earth. You get water and fire. Not in a physical, political thing. You get both masculine and feminine. Kamurogi, kamuromi. Izonagi, izonami. Materasu, Susano. You get the, you know, essentially talks in terms of energy archetypes using Shinto. But, you know, if we just did this, then all of a sudden, you know, say, well, I got it, and somebody grabs you, you go, oh, what do I, ah. Yeah. Big, advanced space, it's all I know, so I can't handle when things get kind of dicey here. Yeah. And then step this. Does that make sense? So today we're kind of reducing it to, okay, the most basic thing is no space. There's no Mawai. Mawai is like no Mawai. So within that, you know, you learn certain basic concepts, but then, you know, you sort of bring that up, basic education. And then you go to all the way to graduate school at Caltech, you know, Sheldon Cooper and Big Bang. But he goes all the way from basically middle school to university. Why? Because he can process the information. Okay, and if he couldn't, he'd be some little kid in college going like this. Instead, he's smarter than everybody. It's a great model because he has a foundation of knowledge and experience, believe it or not. You know, he's a little kid. And then, you know, you get the grown-up in the Big Bang Theory, right? But right about here, a lot of our sensei stuff, for example, he comes in this place, you know, a lot of non-contact stuff. But there was always contact with the energies, and the energies were always in balance. When you had a yin, you had a yang, you had a water, you had a fire. You had a heaven, you had an earth. You had a kamurogi, you had a kamuromi, and izanagi, and izanami. And then materasu, you had a susano. Okay? So that's pretty big stuff. Now, how does that apply in a basic situation? Well, this chain to this chain to this chain. And on a basic level, you want to check to see if you have any glaring weaknesses or openings. Okay? This is like, you know, this is somewhat right, or this is somewhat left brain. Okay? You're checking yourself on levels. But on the other hand, it's good to have this as a template, because if you go too quick into the right brain without some sort of sense here, you kind of sometimes spin off and out. Okay? Now, for example, he grabs here. Same thing. Knees, headbutt. So the first thing I'm going to do is get off the line. Come on in. And he's going, and here, I get linear. So I cross step and rotate the hips. That's another very basic move. Move. Now that one is more like spiral in, spiral out. Well, since it was always working energy, there's always contact. Okay? And sometimes what you got to do is say, okay, how do I present the thing in a very, very basic way that you can graduate into the energy without drifting off too much. So we're going to do the same grab here. Okay? Oh, he's going to come in this way, so I'm going to be off the line. Now he's going to come in, and I'm going to step this way. He's got to sit at an angle. So rotating the hips, getting off the line. Just like this motion, isn't it? And he wants to come in. Oh, this is counterintuitive, because I want to go back. Or I want to walk and muscle him. But the cross step allows me to counter rotate the hips and finish the motion. And this is how I go here, and he just is chaos, and he charges me like a buffalo. I just readjust and deal with that heavier sudden move. Okay? But you don't want to practice your basics that way because you get paranoid. Okay? The same mirror. Okay? The change part is we're working a situation today where basically you don't have any space. They already have you. But that's a good place to learn the basics and some of the martial ideals behind Aikido. You want a slow blend, but you don't want to expose you yourself to any sort of danger when you're doing it. Okay? That's the change part. The one thing right here is that, you know, it may happen, but probably won't. But it's a Hanmi stance right here. See, if you put the other foot forward, okay, you know, this is a hard move. Yes. Okay? But the first one's too easy. When in Japan, it was really funny because you stand with your left lead. Tenchi nage is really easy. Yes. Until, of course, now stand with your right lead. It's hard. So, you know, now you're back to the easy part. Okay? Now, here, when she's coming in, she's got a Hanmi stance. If she doesn't have a Hanmi stance, I mean, it's like, boom, there's a lot of things I can do. So you want to practice, Uki nage, don't want to practice Uki. You see what I mean? There's an area where, yeah, you might be dealing with somebody stupid, and they shove you and you're off balance, but you can recover. You see what I mean? I'm standing here flat-footed. He grabs me, he pulls me and pushes me. Goes, oh. But right there, let's say you're pulling me. Oh no, fella, maybe you pull me in something, but oh my good. My body is changing to nullify that pull. Okay? You want that to be like brushing your teeth. You know, understanding the kamurogi, the izanagi. I think they said it that way because, you know, that was where he was. He was literally hanging out with the kami, the divine forces, right? He just said yin yang, you know, receptive positive, right? But sometimes you have to know how to set receptive positive balance in motion in a basic, stupid scenario. This is all stupid. You know, it's not that, you know, he's going like that. Oh, he go like that. If you watch him, like, and then other people go, oh, okay, this I got to do it. What was wrong? Well, he had steps to his IQ education that those people didn't have. You see, so we're trying to say, let's fill some of that in. Well, they're going to come in, boom, there's an area work. Come on, yeah, he's like, you want to come in? Boom, 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 boom. You see things in terms of beats and subbeats. You know, so somebody's going to come in, grab you, and push you, okay, good. Your balance in those beats or subbeats. You know, that's a bit advanced. But what we can do is set up the harmony situation. Put in the sense that says, thank you, and what's the first thing you look at when you're observing a technique? Mazu ashi. The footwork. Both ike and nage. What was the next thing? The spacing. So you're 2 steps back and you're coming at me. Okay, good. And now right here, there's no spacing. You're already there, but you haven't made your move yet. So I'm going to distract you and get you there. And then I'm going to go that way. And then the third thing is, you know, what's the speed? It's a basic speed. It's a more advanced speed. You know, it's no speed. So essentially, when you're thinking about it, he's already got you. Because you're out of the weave and harmony of the universe. So he goes, okay, the universe is going to correct itself. I'm part of its immune system. No COVID here. He was fast. You see what I mean? Now, for the rest of us, you know, we need to kind of not ignore that, but also how we can fit in the lower levels of our education so that's not just a fantasy. You see, that becomes very quick, very bad if people just, oh yeah, it's not to raise his hands and people fall down. You say, yeah, that's really cool. If you look at what he was doing, you know, if you're coming this direction, if you're coming this direction, you just spiral into this direction. You're coming this spiral over here, spiral over here. Look out. Yeah, he was here. He was in that place. One spiral of Izanagi, the other spiral of Izanami. He's standing right there with her. They're in union with one another. Perfect harmony, love, everything like that. But they're powerful forces. He wasn't an old man that everybody was falling for because he had a beard. Well, that was what people look at now. They're, oh, it's just a bunch of junk. I'd rather watch MMAs and do like people. Okay. There's stupidity in every age. But in this day, you know, there wasn't any MMA, but then people really wanted to get him. Because he had a reputation. He was the fastest son, so everybody wants to tell him the fastest son. And, you know, I mean, he said, don't do that stuff anymore. You know, so, you know, it's part of it that, you know, it was just him. He required a foundation at certain levels. Most of us, unless the whole world goes mad now, then we're probably not going to get. Thank goodness. Okay, but on the other hand, you know, if you're coming in this direction, you know, but you know that motion could very easily be this. Yeah. Yeah. So see how that's a receptive positive. There wasn't much turn, but there's a little bit. He said, for him, it's like he said, he didn't do anything, he just raised his hand. No. He observed him, there's still the fullness of this. It was for him, there's a reversal from this. So if you come in, you go, I mean, yeah, I'm play acting at it, you know. So, you know, I mean, this is what my study is about. But, you know, we can write here. What am I going to do? Well, I can't, he's double teaming me. So right here, you see, I'm starting to free it up. I'm starting to split the double team. Then I'm going to create a huge dense post for my charging direction. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of a loosely called broken rhythm. Because he's going to be used to this, He's not used to this. Oh, okay. And what is that? Well, you know, I'm trying to go from here to stupid again. So we're going to be a little bit more here. Well, and if you're coming in, this lesson is this motion. And if you're coming in, this motion. At that level, it just seems like raising hands and people are falling, but there's a real technology, there's an education there. Now, I think he wanted us, okay, huge level stuff. Well, on the other hand, get your kindergarten and everything where you're not discouraged or beaten down or locked into something so stupid that you just stay as the day with it. Because, all right, if you come this way, what there's still a receptive positive here. You see how that, you know, it's just in one hand, this is even trickier because you've got a free hand to come this way, so it is like that. Right? Now, if you hold with two hands on one, the same thing. This is a, okay. Two guys are bottling Stephen Curry. Now he has Clay Thompson. Good. We neutralize anybody by doing that. But then again, you got one other guy, you know, there's another force. Oh, splash brother. I mean, that's team sports, but you know, if you think of the economy as energy, like team players, and you're one of them. You have teammates. That's it. You have teammates. Well, and then if you Curry, you know, he's having by something kind of a down year. The team's better. They're needing to do what he did last time. Good. Right? Okay. So anyway, keep going. Yeah.
When we went to Japan,
yeah.
Was Yanaka sensei already feeling okay, or was he still?
Oh, he was pretty well prepared.
He was really?
Well, yeah, that was 2014.
Yeah.
But you know, I understand things started to go downhill for him. You know, about a couple of years after that.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I understand.
What was up with the health?
Yeah, he's older, so he wasn't quite sure Yanaka sensei. You know who Yanaka sensei was like? He was like Jonathan Kuminga.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You know, you watched him, you know, his shoulders, perfect attention. Always alert. What happened to him? There's a bunch of junk going on at the top of the Shinju Dojo. Everybody else put up with it. A lot of the stuff with women, unfortunately. He said, I'm not going to be part of this anymore. He left. And even after Hikubushi kind of passed out, he said, well, maybe he's going to come back, but he didn't. There's too much of a, you know, he was too old school, you know, because he left. I just noticed, you know, what he was like the Draymond Green of the dojo. Honestly, it was like Steph Curry. Okay, you know, I mean, yeah, we were coaching the sensei. Coaching the sensei was Magic Johnson. We didn't take it away. But you know, the sensei kept you on your toes. You worked for him, and you trained with him. It was like, oh crap. But what you realize after all these, your body was full of food because he wouldn't take anything else. When you worked with him, your body was just full of food, and you were at your level of development. And I was thinking, what's the like working on this? Oh my God. Whoa! So he comes in, whoa, whoa. Now, my level of development at that time was not mentioned with that, you know, but it was like, because I was asking, well, what did I get from that one? Holy crap. You know, if you grab on, your little thing was like, whoa, whoa. So, okay. And mainly, it was like, you know, I remember one time, you know, you come in and just say, oh, this is a technique, okay? And I was working with him on it, just cut the skating room. And then, you know, you pay attention to everything, even though you're moving really fast. That's how he could reach you leaving the office. It was cold. He was going to go and sit right here. And I was just an artist and thing, which means I had to maintain that level for whatever period of time. I was like, holy crap. I mean, it was great training, but my conscious mind said, oh no. In other words, he could just, he was going to go into the office and just go sit right here. And I was going to be taking those falls, you know. No, you would try to throw him, which is, you know, I mean, for example, you know, and be really solid, you know, and then, that was about me then. But on the UK side, just being around him, you know, okay. And I think the reason he didn't come back when Hikiguchi Sensei died was because he felt the dojo had kind of changed a bit. And nobody wanted to imbibe. You see what I mean? Now, on the other hand, you know, when you do that too much, you get ruined for just normal stuff. You know, it was like, you know, Linda said, you know, I go back from Japan and I get depressed. I said, yeah, I know, I understand, me too. Because, you know, you were at this level, you didn't do anything. You know, you were working with people. I mean, it's sort of like I go to the Warriors and all of a sudden, you know, I'm playing with all stars and all time greats. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, but maybe if I came out there, I'm Jonathan from India, start to pick things up very quick. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, things start to move. Things start to make sense there because you're hanging out in the collective brain of basic basketball geniuses. So all of a sudden, you know, you start to, you know, when to hold the ball, you know when to pass, you know when to screen, you know when to cut, the angle that you cut. The only thing you gotta learn now is watch your hand. You don't pick up a lot of stupid rookie fouls. It's all you gotta learn. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Okay. All right. So what we're kind of looking at is basic situation. See, in Shingu, where I trained, there were no basics. Even, you know, like this static, no space type of movement is not considered basic. It's still training. And so, you know, you were educated in the ins and outs of it. Okay? And, you know, a lot of it is, for example, again, Kojima Sensei was asked, what do you look for? Speed, which means, of course, harmony to harmony. The next thing, spacing. Is it a long technique or is it a technique that's like this? And the last one was brain cell raging. Oh, the speed, the rhythm of the technique. Well, since it was so fast, the hand goes up and people fall. But the energies are moving in a way that that's possible. So there's kind of your education, and there's the level of your development. You can probably be a PhD and be pretty dumb. You just know how to operate within the world of academia. Okay? I'm not anti that. I mean, I was offered a full-time graduate fellowship PhD that I'll be a Russian professor. I don't know. It's an Aikido teacher. Okay. Is that a good move? I don't know. I haven't played it out yet. But you know, you say, well, you know, I was looking at people who are very highly educated. And I was thinking, they're smart, but they're not intelligent. And what I laughed at was like, okay, there's two dangers in front of me. I love what I'm doing, and that's I'm going to pay my dues to get it. And I started looking at that thinking, nah, I went to Japan, I was trading there, and you know, the people there were, their knowledge was more inferior. Kojima Sensei did not graduate high school. Nage Sensei at some point, you know, basically he worked on the parking lot in the national park. Kojima Sensei and I Sensei were factory workers. Okay. But they had knowledge that was experiential. And locally, there's Master Choi, my Tycoon master. That's another choice. You know, like, okay, PhD is a pretty big thing. I was offered a full fellowship. But, you know, I began to think, what would I want to be? I said, no. But I became an Aikido teacher. Okay? Which I still am in the process of development. But one thing, there's part of your education and how it's presented. And then there's your development. Okay? There's two different things. Okay? Here, a couple of people are asking about the analysis and say, one of my teachers in Japan. And what did I get from him? And he just passed on in the last month, so it's very. The one thing I was mentioning to the group, the actual education, now, the education for me around it was my body, as Uke, is still with truth. If you worked with him, you had to be really there. He was very strict. Honor Sensei was like Stephen Curry. Okay, you were saying Kojima Sensei was too. But you're not just Sensei was game on game, which means, you know, if your energy was down, grandma will let you know. Okay, so just training with your Nasa Sensei, I realized, what did I get? Well, she grabbed my wrist, boom, boom. My body was filled with lots of food because it had to be. The technique was powerful, precise, and he would train with you, but mainly as the uke. Almost like you feel your hair standing up. But you had to be clear and very decisive in your attendance. And sometimes I would ask him for extra after class. We used to work a lot. As I got a little better, he didn't just throw me, we trained. And when we were training, you know, be solid, solid, solid. You know, he was just like that. But my body, just be around him, had to be filled with tea. My development wasn't there. Okay? Now your development, your education is ongoing. So today we're kind of going through a little bit more of the, basically what Kojima Sensei would say, check your spacing. The worst spacing is here, not only hands you trap, but you get headbutted or kneed or knocked to the ground. Okay? Yeah. So it's one step before that, but basically you got no space. But what I kind of want to see was that the actual sensors there, we'll see with Yanasa sensor, it was kind of like, like and some of the things, for example, what I'm doing a little bit is a bit more like coaching the sensor. Like, coaching the sensor had this sort of relaxed power. Okay? And if Anna sensor was here, then you feel like she was in this really fun water slide. And the water was very loving. He was the most fun to work with. Okay, in terms of if you still probably, he's really fun. But you learn a lot because he would teach you to open and relax, and it seems from very loving. But the other two, you're not the sense they showed his love in that real strict, get your act together, kid, right this moment. And President Sensei, was basically somebody who made the whole thing like a comedy routine with very severe consequences. And if you made mistakes with you, and he would laugh at them, but you would learn. Okay, so that's part of my education. And at that particular time, the level of my development, I was fairly a beginner. I was training just when I was about to get a black belt, and then I spent about a year there training. Okay, so what we're trying to do today is go through. There's your education, which is somewhat left hand. And then there's your development, which is both left brain with a right brain integration. And all three of them had a lot of right brain in what they were trying to teach. Because all they were trying to teach was left brain technique. And not just as I started out to know, because we used to hang out a lot together. And, he was very spiritual, very strict with himself. Okay, so he was strict with me, he was equally strict with himself. He'd get up every morning, do this balancing exercise 500 times, 1 and 2, and then he'd touch his toes and pick a bokin up, and from here spin 500 times. And then the last time I actually asked him, I said, "Are you still doing that 500 times?" He said, "No, Jack, I'm doing it 1,000 times now." Okay, so stand up, stretch your legs. So what we're saying a little bit, see, there's spirals. Now that's a spiral in, that's a spiral out. There's also, for example, here, the spiral in and down, and the spiral up and out. So essentially, we talk about Izanagi, Izanami, Kamurogi, Kamurogi, Kamuromi, Amaterasu, Susanoo. He's talking about universal forces, which he addressed in terms of coming, because that was culture. But one of the things that we're working on is, for example, your education. Okay, I have an advanced degree. Okay, I actually have a master's. I got out of that stupid program with a master's degree. I was the only one in my class that did. And I was the weirdest. So they didn't let me leave without a master's. Everybody else tried to this one. But the development is like the center. Okay, you need them both. The circle, your education, who you hang out with, the center, your development. Okay. And then you get the spiral around the center circle to the center. Yeah, you have an education, you have much more movement into society, hopefully, if you don't. But where I was, some of the most important people in my life were factory workers or working water attendants. And Master Troy was Master Troy. I don't know what his education was, but he was a master type too, I guess. So I just what I did right there. I was a little sloppy with his hands, so push in. He locks the whole thing, I'll push in. Okay. So when I go like that, coaching the sensei would say, Jeff, you're getting sloppy with this one. Then I don't move. Not the sensei wouldn't necessarily tell you that. He's just seen you a couple of times. Wake you up. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go back to the movement we're working on. So we set behind me. Okay, good. Now, notice how. Okay. This is a double team. I must move in a way that's inside. If I try to move outside of that, it's down. Rotate the hips. And my stupid linear sense to see that. So cross, rotate, and step. Now this is important right here. This other hand is important. If I get sloppy here, here she elbows me. And so we have this. Okay. And this is not so much for class, but for whatever reason, when you need it, boom, this is the thing that's coming in. So essentially good stuff like, like this. But if you needed to, that was this. Okay. So when you watch those sensei, I think, okay. No, there's still a precision to what he's doing. If you look at that statue that we used to have before somebody took it on Market Street, this hand is right there, the cover. Okay. This is right here. Now, you can elbow me right in the face. So right about here. So there's little pointers. So the education fills in. Now, education is constant. You can go back to this situation today. Basically, you don't have much space for it. Let's face it. Okay? Let's continue one more time. Keep the same partner. Let's continue with this motion. Okay? Now remember, yeah. The other thing, if sometimes you get it so good, the feet fly up. Because this way your fingers don't bend well. Here, the other bend. You don't want to get jammed. All of a sudden you do a technique, you don't expect that somebody's feet fly up, and you're this way and your fingers get crushed. Okay, so it's stupid left brain stuff, but it's kind of like left brain and right brain and bell. It creates your development. If all education is all left brain, you're going to be, I don't know, maybe you make it to PhD because it's good politically and you can answer things on tests. But the education is kind of like what you're doing around you, which is development, is you at the center. If you're coming into session, even there, I'm putting that hand here. Just coming boom. The other thing, for example, let's say this hand misses. Well, this hand's there. Just coming in, boom, boom. And when you come this way, it's like Steph Curry working without Klay Thompson. We were lost last night if it hadn't been for Klay. It's nice to have a partner, isn't it? Yeah, it's okay. Steph is doing okay. He's got Klay there. Okay, so I'm using sports analogies, but I think you know what I mean. You got a left side and a right side. Yes. Now, you got the hands. Now, pull it through the body. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, now one thing right there. Don't keep this hand too low. It comes up with a Because the hand coming, it doesn't rise like this, okay? But you get the other half of the body, okay? Right hand, left arm, left hand, right arm. What does that do? Godzilla rising. Okay? Wouldn't it be nice, you know, somebody's trying to bully you. You say, I got a friend, Godzilla. All I gotta do is go, "Wee," and Godzilla will come in and you deal with Godzilla. You know what I mean? Okay, so you want to keep your hands so low. Okay, I'm trying to feel that. It's not just the other hand, but the whole body is engaged. Yeah, you see what I mean? It's just basic education. Sometimes, you know, I mean, you can't all be Sheldon Cooper and Big Bang. It seems like he knows everything. Okay? It's unrealistic, but we can be Leonard. You know, he's a genius too. He's just not quite a super genius. And if you're a super genius, oh, I can't say he's a super genius. Yeah, top speed genius. Top speed genius. Yeah. Okay, so that's well, it doesn't matter, you know. It's very free. Okay? But then I get caught up in a stupid situation. I know what to do. Okay. Just yourself. Because you know, I get too abstracted. Go back to basics for a bit. It's just keep initiating, you know, like I hit a home run. I hit a home run, but I jump over second base. I touch home plate, and somebody throws the ball to second base. I didn't touch it. I'm out. So you just want to make sure you're touching all the bases. You see what I mean? It's education. I mean, there is that's basic grade stuff. And sometimes you get so smart you forget stuff that's very important and basic. So your education is constant. Okay? That's the importance of basic movement. On the other hand, if all you stay is the left brain basic, you kind of stay very limited. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Does it matter?
Well, let's see.
Does it matter if I go in the front or if I go in the back?
Well, I don't like the behind the back thing. Just come in at me. Okay? So I'm gonna go behind my rig and come in at me. Push. Push. Come in towards me. Yeah, so I go here, push. You see? Push. I find it more adaptable. In basketball, sometimes you go behind the back, but then a lot of times you cross over simple, or you cross between the legs. Okay? Well, there's probably somebody who's really good at doing this way. But for me, look at it, sets up, it sets up, this sets up, this motion. And you know, let's just say here, we have an entry motion.
Hey.
I'm going that way. Now, let's say it's coming really fast. Okay, what I did there, I did your back crossover. I did your 10 count. To me, that's more of a 10 count. It is an entering motion. 10 count, 10. Leaning, entering. Okay? So initially, this is a hard move, right? You go this way. If you're coming at me, boom, I got my hips in that motion. Good. Right? Like right here, if you come at me, boom, I got my hips in that motion. And sometimes you gotta lay the law down. You know what I mean? Somebody, right? I mean, you police officers sometimes say, look, that's inappropriate here. I'm gonna have to take a real drastic action and let you calm down. If things get out of control, I'll call for backup. It's going to be extinct. So right now it's going down, or I will. You see what I mean? That's, you know, I mean, it's tricky, but if somebody's kind of being really, boom, boom. Now you made me draw my gun, I didn't want it. You see what I mean? But I will, so the rest of you pay attention. You see what I mean? And that part of it is, you know, it's part of the training. But I'm saying that, for example, you go this way, I don't, you know, for example, I step behind me here, okay? I find this block, but if I go this way, I can step behind, okay, I'll turn, and then in it. So let's say you're very solid and I'm here, I can rotate my hips. I can rotate my hips. So, you know, I would, you know, just in terms of my own lexicon and way of looking at basics, what you find is, you know, I spent years trying to figure this stuff out. And, you know, when I was in Japan, my education was by no means complete, you know, because somebody lays the foundation for you. And then you have to kind of fill in a lot of dots on your own. And I'm sure somebody can be very good at this. Okay, but for me, bringing the leg back, just this up, this allows you to turn so you can enter again. Yeah. No, you can do that. Yeah.
No, but very brutal.
He can't always cover for you. You see what I mean? Yeah, you can surprise somebody by just holding their finger. So for that reason, now what is that motion? The hips are rotating and they counter rotate. Now, if he's really solid, okay, boom. I did that same thing with a little bit more lightning behind it. Okay, now, for example, there, I figured the whole thing was faster. It just sort of faster. Whoa, boom. Well, one person you didn't want to get on was posing the sensor. You might get any of them that way, but don't you know? Okay, nuclear holocaust, if I kiss them all. It was impersonal. Okay. Whoa, all right. There are a lot of lessons you learn that way. Jack, don't fool around. During the holidays, someday one time, you know, the president said, you know, you kind of fool around with you, but you teach you. Because she tried to fool around Jack, and he just said, you want to learn from me, or do, you know, just fool around. And so she said, oh, okay. In other words, when he was kind of joking with you, he was teaching you something. So she said, I'm going to joke with you. Don't cross that line, kid. Oh, because it wasn't the words, it was like, I think grabbed it and I said, yeah, I do not. You see what I mean? You need energy. The basics of stuff, you know, the police officers, is this person bluffing or not? Do I take extreme action to threaten it, or do I just say, look, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. I'll go to my nightstick before I go to my gun, but I will go to my gun. And if you do something unprovoked and really fast, my first motion will be to my gun. Because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to protect society here. And right now, we're like the sinister cell range and check all this area. Yeah, I'm going to have to give some pretty strong chemo to take you out. I don't want it. That's my last resort, but I will. You know, so that's, you know, that's Shinken. Live weight. Okay? It's not so serious. Okay? I mean, it's a lot more serious than we oftentimes frame it. Okay. Now you're missing the beat. You're trying to go over the top. With that motion. Don't try to go over the top on somebody who's big. Like boom. Oh. There's that change. Even here, if you get really solid on, it doesn't do me any good to try to go over the top. Okay? It's not just dropping your hips, just dropping your hips in a spiral pattern. That's what the warriors are missing right now. They're missing Draymond Green. Draymond drops the hammer. Yeah. He'll be back at some point.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, like the boom. If somebody gives you attitude like that, boom. Careful. That's a little bit more coaching that they're just in now. So you're not so sorry. Okay. I'm going to leave that attitude at the door because I don't have much control over it anyway, but I can appreciate how full my body gets with tea when I'm working with it. Well, in taking the sense that was a little bit more like, yeah, good conversation. Like that. Anyway, keep going. Yeah, now those speaks themselves. You're taking this file, and you can condense it right here. It looks like all you're doing is step back, so grab on.
Hey.
Oh! You see what I mean? A little bit right there. The whole thing condenses down without losing its fullness. The one thing you got to do in this world is deal with stupidity. None of you are stupid, but you know. One of the hardest things, for example, if she comes in like this, okay? And the hole's really firm right there, you know? It's a system I can't take down here. It's just a boom. I mean, in a sense, what you're really doing is you're laying the law down. But it's such a thing. The law is the universal harmony and everything kind of coming from love, right? But you've got a situation in school where a kid is being destructive. What are you going to do? You're going to lay the law down, aren't you? You're supposed to. No, you would do that in my classroom. I'll go to the principal's office. We'll discuss this, but I'm going to recommend that you be expelled. That's not anything I want to do, but I will do it. Okay? I mean, it's surprising to me how, for example, people really think Donald Trump is tough. No, he's a bully.
Yeah.
But you can't be too. It's like, boom. I don't want to do that. And I don't know what's going to happen. But there will be consequences if you do what you think you're going to do. And I'm no way going to sugarcoat it. Do I want to do that? No. It's not the Russian people, it's you. And how you are there, that's a problem that's endemic. People want strong leaders, people take over for people because they don't want to really lead themselves, and all of a sudden, you know, you got tyrants and stupid people in charge. All they want is power. We had one for 4 years, we should get rid of him. I may look like a doddering septuagenarian, but you push me, these are the consequences, believe it. And so that's part of it's important. I mean, you know, it's part of the education of Aikido. You know, one person, again, I would never wanted to piss off was Toshima Sensei. Because, you know, there's an area with him, it's like, whoa, whoa. You know, you went, oh. And most of the time he was, you know, he taught with humor. You know, a couple of times, you know, and I ready to cry and stuff like that. He picked me up and he was very loving. But I knew, you know, it was like, don't get on his bad side. I mean, he can teach you some sort of how strict and everything like that. I knew the guys that really would drop the hammer if they told you the sensei. And if I was listening on to sensei, I said, you know, it wouldn't matter if I was stupid or not. He would drive me down anyway. I just have to be present. And you feel kind of stupid trying to be, you know, an idiot with honor sensei because he was so open and loving. So, you know, it's a good education that way. Right. So, you know, that part of it, for example, here, it's like, you know, think, you know, so this motion and this motion, boom, they become one wave. You take everything into that point and you get out of the way. But the educational process, you know, I'm going to take everything at that point now. It's the technology. See that spiral and that spiral? And if you're holding really strong like this, boom, boom. You find that point, get out of the way, and let the energies come with really do come with only create what they need to create. And dealing with stupidity is the hardest thing in terms of what we're about these days, because it's rampant. Okay. 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 Anyway, so you know, there's kind of education. Education is kind of like the circle. You're learning about things. Yeah, for me, being a student at the university, it's fun. Well, my parents were second generation Japanese. They had this dream that my sister and I would go to college and everything like that. They also had a dream that I was going to be a doctor, a lawyer, something, you know. And then I went to grad school. You know, I knew I was going to go to Japan. I wasn't really going to, but you know, I got money to go. I got accepted both UCLA, Berkeley, Slavic languages. I got this crazy offer there. I go to Davis. They pay for everything. So on the other end, I have to take that off student loan or something. So I went to Davis for a couple of years. And I got out with a master's. It was a master's program. But, you know, I always knew I was going to go to Japan. I just always knew that. And I did. That was kind of like, okay. And I get over there, and it was a very difficult thing. For those sense I was talking about, you know, you get the potted plant, and getting in there and the soil and everything like that. And, you know, a lot of it didn't make sense to me. Every class started out on the ground with what he was at UCL. And there was not a lot of grace or beauty in it. It was just, you know, just in the dirt. But when you work with people like, you know, say on a clergyman, it transcended that experience of just working in the dirt. It gave you something to aim for. Because they had the education, I was getting the education, but they also had a certain sense of development to them. Which, you know, if I would say, okay, the only two professors that I really knew, that I really said, wow, they really have something, was Robert Fraser. He was my first Aikido teacher. I always tell him the best course I ever took in college was psychology of Far Eastern religion, which he taught. Now, when I went to Davis, there was a man named Charles Park, who was into like altered states of consciousness. He and Robert Fraser were connected. So I used to hang out with him because he was in the Aikido club. In fact, he was the faculty sponsor. So we would do, you know, we would hang out a little bit. So the whole thing, the education for today, what we try to do is go back to some pretty basic things. And, you know, when I was in Japan, nobody said this is how you do the movement. They put you in situations and explain the consequences of those situations. Okay? Dude, how do you open when your hands are trapped? What does that mean? Well, it's an inward down spiral, that goes into an upward out spiral. And that's very free, because there's always a Kamado to a Kamado, and Izanagi to an Izanagi, whatever. A yin to a yang, the fire to a water, and vice versa. And then you also realize if you're kind of sloppy at certain transitions, there are potential consequences. Okay? This and that actually, he could teach you something that's always talking about, which sensei would explain it in more. Okay? You're not just something, it's like, when you're working with them, it's like your body's filled with tremendous amounts of food that it didn't normally have, because you just sort of had to have that to survive with it. Okay? So your kidney had to be sharp. You were there in a way where you were very serious. And then honestly, they would put you together because, he would be in this very open and loving space. And, I needed all three of them to survive there. They were kind of like the nutrients in the soil. That were those things they were talking about, grovel in the dirt, get the nutrients. But the nutrients, are important. If there's something that you have to motivate you, then why in the world are you putting all that effort out into training yourself? Okay? And so, a lot of what we were trying to do today, even in these, you would discover the kokyu and the tenchi nage. But I worked with some of you and showed you other variations that come off of those opening movements, So, we could have done 15 different movements by the book. But a lot of times what you're doing, real education is you're always going back to your roots, right? Always going back to your roots. See what you know. Always there. And the thing with the narcissistic passing down, what you have to realize is if you were right here when I was 25 years old, what would I feel like? It's like, there's a serious amount of chi running through my body. I don't understand it, but working with this man, I got to be at my absolute best in terms of attention and sharpness. Working with honor sensei, I have to have a sense of love and gratitude because he's opening up spaces that are so beautiful. In such a sense, I have to be able to handle experience. Humor on one point, and boom, explosive power on the other hand. And so they were kind of like the nutrients in the soil of my path. And I'm this plant, hopefully, and on my level of development in the 70s, I recognized that they were the nutrients, right? And now, I realize, when the narcissistic passed, I really got a lot from him. And I hope, that I can pass some of that on in my current incarnation, here, right? But when you're working with me, you're working with the fact that I have a lineage and I've absorbed those nutrients. Who was their nutrient, mainly? There were people they worked with, but it was Osensei. He was the nutrient in their pot. So I come there, and I don't see Osensei, but I'm working with these people who are directly absorbing the nutrients from him. Okay? And that was also their education. And there was a level of development they had. Okay? So locally, we were in the Osensei's division, direct student of Osensei. I'm trying to explain that to Al the other day. It's that, that's an important thing. If you forget that, Aikido is, it's just taking root. And it also has generations. Now, you're all a couple of generations past me, okay? And so what I'm trying to do with whatever I try to do here is take my in my part, my education on nutrients. And I was sort of fed by people whose major nutrient is earth-centric. And so to somehow bring that out in the education, which is the part, the circle, and then the plant is the center, like you. Okay? And you know, you're not just like the passing was interesting because I said, well, what did I get from I went, oh, okay, yeah. What did I get from honor someplace? Sort of an open heart. Or of a sense of beauty. What do you get from taking the sense of boom? The ability to unite opposites. You can be very, very loose and into a lot of humor and be right there at the edge. And so, you know, those are kind of, I would say, some of my nutrients in that potted plant, and I'm the plant, okay? But you're also plant, and you know, I recommend you study as much as you get as much of the nutrients as you can. But you know, what I'm trying to pass on, in whatever way I am, you know, is a lot of what I got from nutrients in my pot. If you're going to use that potted plant food, okay? So if I could sort of, in some sense, when you work with me, if your body's so still with you, then you're getting something that I got from your outfit, something. If your heart does open, I could work a lot more on the honor sensation because I haven't seen him in a couple of years. And taking the sensei is probably the person I was closest to. Linda sensei was much more into honor sensei, okay? And I was a bit more into Yanase and taking the sensei. And I really respect honor sensei. If you were to ask me who's Aikido I think is most advanced in this world, in terms of mine, I would say him. Okay. And you know, that's a very, very funny statement to make. But, you know, in terms of, you know, who he is, his development, given his education. So, you know, that's just a little bit what we're trying to pass on here. I do want to mention a couple things so it's clear. I'm teaching at San Jose State now, so tomorrow 8:30 to 10:30. Okay, I got to get over there and deal with all the chaos of everything. I got to obviously get a new ID. I found out a whole bunch of stuff. Thank you. Okay, but I'm just finding that you know teaching an online class on Monday is just my energy is kind of going that way. Okay, fall is fun. It's the winter, everything's dormant, but there's still nutrients and there's spring, right? And right now, where I'm working is, you know, you kind of go fall to winter without end on Monday. So I'm gonna continue to teach the online on Friday, the Thursday night Tai Chi, and also the Wednesday and Sunday in person. So I'm gonna take a break on the Monday online. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.